Hey guys, Hendy here, and today I'm going to be making a video on my Techone FPV Wing. This is the 980mm wingspan edition, and I'm just going to show you how I've made it, the insides, inside the carbon area, and the parts I used to make it. As you can see, it's completed now. I've flown it a few times, crashed it a few times as well. I'm just going to go through the basics of how mine is fitted, what the parts are, and the troubles I've had with it. Okay, so here you can see I've got it all assembled, and I'm just going to show you, I'm going to disassemble it and show you what's inside. So you can see the two wings are currently attached, and there's a carbon mainframe in it. It's very similar to an FPV drone, as you can see with the carbon inside, similar thickness and that kind of construction. As you can see, I've got the VTX aerial at the front with the camera, and then I've got the transmitter aerials at the back, and because this is a pusher wing, the propeller and motor at the back. So you can simply slide off the top plate, which gives you access to the insides, and I've mounted my receiver on the top plate just as that was the best place for me to mount it, but there's many mounting points on this plane. Next, I'm just going to remove the battery strap. There's a few holes there that you can put it on, and the battery sits on the top, on that top plate as well. So here inside you can see all the electronics. It's all neatly inside this long carbon frame. There's plenty of space for all your electronics. So here you can see I've got the two servo plugs. I'm using a flight controller in this setup, so the servo plugs go straight into the flight controller. Now that we've unplugged those servo plugs, we can actually take off the wings. The wings are normally attached using two rubber bands as well as some magnets. I've already taken off the rubber bands. So all we need to do is slide them off. You have to give them a little bit of a tug because, as I said, there's magnets. Now we just need to feed the servo wires out of the carbon body, as so, and then you can see the aluminium tubes that hold the wings in place and give it some steadiness, and you just simply slide them off there. And we do the same for the second wing. And of course, just be careful that you're not snagging the wire or bending it or anything like that. Now the two wings are off, we can see the carbon body, and next we can just take out the aluminium tubes. You might be able to see that my aluminium tubes are actually slightly bent. That's because of the previous crash, and I'll go into detail of that later. Okay, now you can see all the insides of the plane, and I'm just going to go through each of the parts. So as I said, I'm using a flight controller. I'm using the Maytech Systems F411 Wing Edition, the newest one, and it has all the normal stuff, the gyros, barometers, and OSD, so it's really useful. I've got a capacitor there to stop noise from the battery. It's quite handy. I think they're called a low ESR capacitor. As you can see, I'm running the RunCam split, which is a bit unusual. So the RunCam split is actually not version 2. It allows me to record in HD while also transmitting the first-person view signal back to my headset. I've also got the eSheen TX805 5.8 GHz transmitter, and the aerial there, it's an Ionway cloverleaf. And I've got a small S-Bus receiver on the top. I've forgotten the exact model, but it's an FR Sky S-Bus receiver. Really small. I'm also running a T-Motor F45A, I think it's 45 amp ESC, and an F40 motor on the back with the 3-bladed propeller. So as you can see, it's a very similar setup to an FPV quad, a quad of that type, with the carbon, and it's exactly the same parts, same motors, same propellers, same cameras, and everything's pretty much the same as an FPV quad. So if you're used to building an FPV quad, this type of wing is perfect for you. It's pretty much the same parts and a very similar setup. And to secure all the parts inside, I'm just using nylon screws and bolts and spacers. It's just the same as a drone, and you kind of just stack them on top of each other. Right at the front of the plane, there's normally a better way to mount the camera, and there's a little bit more room in the top where you can mount an HD camera. But however, as I was saying, I have crashed this plane a few times now, and one of those times I did break the front area, I'll show the video right now. It wasn't a very good crash. Well, it was quite spectacular to watch, but it wasn't good for the plane. There was I calibrated the gyro wrong, and it headed straight for the ground. So if we ignore that, there should be a few more bits of carbon at the front to mount your camera easily, but that's why I've kind of got some tape on the antenna, and that's why the camera is not mounted perfectly, but it still works. There's enough room to mount everything. It just doesn't look as good as it possibly could. Okay, next we have the wings. Now these wings are made of a really dense kind of foam. I'm not sure, I think it's EPP. I'll have to check that, but it's a really dense foam. And as you can see, it has a bit of carbon on the end as well, and that houses 2 more magnets, as I was talking about earlier. And also you can see the servo I've put in there. It comes with a pre-made hole, and I've wired the wire along with a bit of tape and then stuffed it through the hole there. As you can see, there's 2 tabs either side, and use them as rubber band mounts. And then there's 2 holes as well, and that's where the aluminium rod I was showing earlier goes. As you can see, here's a profile of the wing. It's not very thick, but as I say, it's a really hard foam material. It's not going to break apart. It's not like polystyrene or anything. It's a really hard, strong material. As you can see there, the servo, the control rod, and the control horn moving the flaps. The flaps are also really strong. There was problems with the first version of this wing where the flaps would move by themselves, but this is a much stronger, durable material. As you can see, the winglet there, they come separate, so I just used some hot glue, gave it a bit of a sand, then hot glued them to the side. I've had one fall off once after a bad crash, but you can just simply glue it back on again. So I hope you found that useful. That's kind of an overview of this wing. I have many other videos showing footage from the wing on my channel, so I'll leave some of them linked in the description, but you can just look through my channel and find them. If you have any questions about the wing, just comment below or contact me directly. I'm happy to help. This wing's kind of hard to come by now. It's a quite, well, it's not very old, but they've kind of discontinued it, so it's just back stock out there right now. But if you are looking for kind of a fast wing, and you have flown before and you don't mind building it from a kit, this is the perfect wing for you, especially if you're moving from mini quads, that kind of stuff, because they are so similar, as I said before. So I hope you found this video interesting. Make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want more videos in the future. Thank you.